25 men, 1 woman, only a single knight to prove dominance. Deep within ancient Rome's most scandalous quarter, in a narrow, suffocatingly dark brothel cell, a spectacle beyond imagination was taking place. The most powerful woman on earth, Empress Messalina, had provoked Rome's best-known courtesan into a competition no history book could ignore. The challenge was simple. Who would take more lovers before sunrise? No payment, no titles, no political reward, only unrestrained human appetite. The outcome of this night would become the most infamous chapter in her destiny. Her name was Valeria Messalina. By day, she was co-ruler of the empire that dominated the known world. By night, she wandered into a realm where her station offered no protection and where lust governed all behavior. Her ambition, once her strength, eventually ignited her ruin. The collapse of her power came with such shocking speed that historians still argue whether the records present truth or the cruelest slander campaign in antiquity. What follows will challenge every assumption about the Roman elite, their hidden perversions, and the weaponization of desire. Before entering the imperial chambers, note this: the narrative is preserved across multiple ancient authors: Tacitus, Suetonius, Juvenal, and Pliny the Elder. These historians wrote within a lifetime of the events, while eyewitnesses still breathed the same air. Modern scholarship faces the burden of separating truth from political exaggeration. Strikingly, reality often proves both subtler and far more unsettling than the legend. Picture Rome under the southern sun: gleaming marble, majestic temples, streets pulsing with life. Yet inside the imperial palace, tension oppressed every corridor. Caligula's tyranny had plunged the capital into paranoia. Executions were routine. Each careless word could cost one's life. In the midst of this terror lived Claudius, Caligula's ridiculed uncle. He limped, stammered, drooled, and was considered too foolish for political affairs. His family sidelined him to maintain their dignity, unaware that their mockery would one day ensure his survival. Across the city, in an aristocratic villa adorned with luxury, resided a young noblewoman of extraordinary lineage. Messalina, only 15 years of age, descended from Augustus's own bloodline. Ancient chroniclers describe her as strikingly beautiful, with raven hair, alabaster skin, and an intense stare capable of reading a person's ambitions. Intelligence coursed through her veins, but society denied her any avenue to use it. She became a pawn on Rome's political chessboard. Caligula arranged her marriage to Claudius. It was a union of convenience, nothing more. Claudius was expected to remain forever irrelevant. The marriage merely kept imperial descendants flowing and resolved a few delicate aristocratic tensions. The young bride had no freedom to object. Ordered to marry a man 30 years her senior, she complied, as Roman girls were taught to do. The trauma of that wedding night can only be imagined, although history seldom grants sympathy to women in her position. Everything changed in the year 41 CE. Caligula fell beneath the blades of his own guards. Chaos devoured Rome. Soldiers discovered Claudius trembling behind palace curtains and nearly jokingly declared him emperor. The most underestimated man in the imperial household suddenly ruled the world's mighty empire. Messalina, now 18, became empress. No one could have predicted that her name would soon epitomize sexual notoriety beyond any male tyrant's reputation. Consider her reality: a teenage empress with limitless wealth, protected authority, and near absolute access to pleasure. A husband approaching 50, physically unspectacular, consumed by bureaucracy rather than intimacy. 2 royal children secured her status. Endless power met intolerable monotony. According to the ancient writers, that combination drove Messalina into the Roman night. Wrapped in a blonde wig, disguised in plain attire, she ventured into the Subura, the city's most debased district. Prostitutes there conducted their trade in cramped booths for passing sailors and merchants. Under the alias Lyssa, meaning shadow, Messalina rented a cell, invited strangers, and indulged freely. She charged payment only when it amused her. This was not survival nor necessity, but a willful descent into forbidden thrill. During daylight, she executed every imperial duty flawlessly. Officials praised her discipline and decorum. No one suspected that only hours earlier she had lain anonymous beneath Rome's lower classes. Yet desire proved insatiable. Simple brothel escapades transformed into elaborate spectacles within the palace itself. Luxurious banquets twisted into coercive orgies where senators and noblewomen were compelled to perform. Resistance was perilous. Invitations became political shackles. A single night's indulgence made guests vulnerable to blackmail and ensured allegiance through humiliation. Claudius either remained willfully blind or too timid to intervene. His most powerful advisors, Narcissus and Pallas, observed silently, calculating. Messalina's growing influence threatened their authority, but they needed a moment where accusation could no longer be denied. Then the night arrived that would echo through 2,000 years. Pliny the Elder reports the now legendary challenge between Messalina and Sylla, Rome's most celebrated courtesan. The aim, to see who could endure more lovers within 24 hours. Sources disagree on the number, but all agree that Messalina did not stop, even after her opponent surrendered from exhaustion. From a physiological perspective, the feat borders on the impossible. Yet the persistence of the story across independent accounts reveals one truth. Romans genuinely believed their empress capable of such debauchery. Modern psychology might interpret this behavior as hypersexual compulsion, an escalating addiction without satisfaction, driving reckless pursuit of novelty. The Romans, lacking this framework, interpreted her cravings as monstrous moral depravity or a disordered womb, a common misogynistic explanation in antiquity. Whispers eventually reached every level of society. Rome buzzed with gossip of the Empress in disguise. Aristocrats trembled, fearing she wielded secrets deadly enough to destroy them. Her list of enemies multiplied. The moment for retaliation approached. The turning point strikes with almost theatrical absurdity. Messalina fell desperately in love with Gaius Silius, perhaps the most handsome aristocrat in the capital. Their affair became public knowledge. But then came the act that defied sanity. With Claudius away in Ostia, supervising grain supplies, Messalina and Silius staged a full marriage ceremony. Official witnesses, ritual vows, banquets, senators in attendance, a direct assault on imperial authority, so bold it borders on fantasy. Some believe she plotted a coup to place Silius on the throne. Others argue she had lost all connection to reality, convinced of her invincibility. Either explanation demonstrates a catastrophic decline in judgment. Messengers rushed to Ostia. At first, Claudius refused to accept the evidence. Only after multiple testimonies and legal documents did he collapse under the truth. Narcissus seized his chance. Commanding the Praetorian Guard, he stormed Rome. Silius was executed immediately. Anyone who dared witness the forbidden wedding faced death or coerced suicide. Messalina fled to the gardens of Lucullus, an estate she once stole through political cruelty. Now it became the stage of her final descent. Her mother, Lepida, who had rarely intervened in her daughter's life, stood beside her in those last hours. Ancient accounts portray Messalina's mind crumbling. One moment she begged for mercy. The next, she erupted in anger. Terror and eerie calm fought inside her. She tried writing a plea to Claudius, but her hands shook too violently. Encouraged to take her own life and preserve dignity, she hesitated, courage drained by fear. Narcissus refused to allow one last manipulation of the emperor. He ordered immediate execution. A tribune and centurion arrived. Messalina held a dagger, trembling. Unable to act, she froze. The officer ended the hesitation with a single strike. Messalina died at 22 within the gardens she once claimed through arrogance and malice. Her mother arranged her body, closed her eyes, and silently disappeared from history. Claudius, upon hearing word of her death, finished his meal without visible emotion and asked for more wine. 2 millennia later, historians confront troubling questions. Ancient sources were authored by men with political motives. Tacitus despised imperial corruption. Suetonius adored scandal. Juvenal exaggerated to provoke laughter and outrage. Pliny often repeated unverified rumor. After Messalina's death, Agrippina the Younger rose to power and shaped the record to cast her predecessor as depraved, amplifying her own virtue. Male emperors committed atrocities on scales far beyond Messalina's alleged behavior, yet their reputations rarely suffer equal infamy. The reason is simple. Female desire threatened Roman patriarchy. A woman dictating sexual power destabilized the established hierarchy. Messalina needed to be destroyed both in life and in narrative. What remains of her story reveals deeper truths about how societies police female autonomy. Her acts, whether exaggerated or authentic, expressed rebellion against confinement. Forced into a political marriage, denied intellectual outlets, deprived of meaningful agency, she seized control in the only sphere she had access to her sexuality. Her children bore the consequences. Britannicus was poisoned by Nero. Octavia was forced into a marriage of misery and executed. Their fates became footnotes in the long shadow of their mother's reputation. Messalina's fall demonstrates the fragility of Roman power. A woman celebrated as empress one evening could become a condemned traitor the next. No trial, no defense, only political convenience. Did she truly conquer 25 men in a single day? Perhaps, perhaps not. What is undeniable is that her image became a timeless warning. A woman with desire is a danger to be silenced. History's darkest myths are often crafted not from what occurred, but from what the victors need future generations to believe. Messalina left no testimony, only the words of enemies who ensured she would be remembered not as a complex human being, but as a monster.